Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, even less than that? Why didn't you
I
do it?
am
You were
not-
vice president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do, and you're going to do this. But you were there just a short time ago, and you guys did nothing.
We did.
You know, Joe, I ran because of you. I ran because of Barack Obama, because you did a poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run.
That right there was the perfect clip to describe exactly the tone and temper and demeanor that President Trump brought to the final presidential debate for 2020. He was cerebral during this. He still had his Trumpian little digs in there every once in a while, which we will get to because they were great and wonderful. And at the same time, it really set the stage. It showed that he wasn't going to take any shit, and Joe Biden needed to be on his back foot for the rest of the debate. That was about 2/3 of the way through, and I'll save you all some time, but I want to give Joe a little quick nod to how we performed here.
I am anxious to have this race. I am anxious to see this take place. The character of the country is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Yeah, he's definitely going to end up eating those words, and no two ways about it. He kind of ended up, either just flat out lying or just not bringing his A game. I don't know what they had Joe pumped up full of, but he was spry and relatively about the best you could perform, given that you're a 77-year-old dementia patient. It was good for what he could show up with for about 45 minutes, and then it started to go downhill. I'm not too sure of what the half-life is for things like Adderall or maybe Coke. In the first debate, he was fine up until about 45 minutes, and then he looked at the town hall that he had with Stephanopoulos in replacing the second town hall style debate that would have happened. That one was very low energy. Joe got to sit back and he got to relax, kind of maybe answer his questions. Just didn't have to really answer anything on the fly. It was all pre-scripted for him, and that's the best way I could, if I had to sum up both candidates' performance in one word, Biden would definitely be pre-scripted. Everything was rehearsed, and he just looked like an old school politician. Not a good look, considering, the reason Trump got elected, exactly like he described in that opening clip, is because he's not a career politician. People were tired of the lies and the doublespeak, especially from the Obama administration. And no Obama-Biden administration, no Trump. Plain and simple. He laid it out there in that clip. And what did the Democrats do? They did nothing. They learned nothing from 8 years of resentment, 8 years of broken promises. They ran the Secretary of State to begin with, Hillary Clinton, who was Barack Obama's hand-picked successor for that role. And then now they're running the vice president. They didn't learn a single goddamn thing. It's because Barack Obama is so full of himself that he thinks that he's so popular with everybody. He said at the end of his second term, he said that he would have won a third term as president, not understanding anything that was going on in the world at the time. Everybody was sick of Obama. You guys remember Thanks Obama? Yeah, that was a meme in real life. Most people were tired of his broken promises, and hey, you see the walkaway movement today? That is a direct correlation to how many new Republicans, these new wave of Republicans that are coming over, who, you know what, gave Barack Obama the benefit of the doubt. They were all energized by the first black president, and then he didn't follow through on anything. So in order to change all the problems that Trump has brought around, what are they going to do? Rerun the old school politicians. Then if I was to give a one-word description of how Donald Trump performed during this debate, I'd have to go with confident. He had an answer for every question, and the topics that were actually discussed and what was put out before that I reviewed going into this presidential debate were totally different. We had a bunch of different topics that weren't brought up, and questions that were just fucking barely attached to what the topics were supposed to be, but we will get into that. And for the first 20 minutes, all they did was just hammer on COVID, and I understand that was one of the topics, but it was just repeating the same fucking talking points over and over again. Mr. Trump, you're responsible for 220 million dead people, or 200, well, that was what Joe Biden always used to say. You're responsible for 220,000 dead people. How would you have done things better? Well, here's my plan again. I'll lay everything out. Nobody wants to be locked up forever and a day, except for Joe Biden, who loves to sit in his basement all day long. And then, oh, Mr. Biden, you're so avuncular and wise. How would you take care of the COVID situation right now? Well, listen, here's the deal. I would have, you got to lock people down, listen to the science, and, the thing. It's very easy to be the opposition to this because all you need to do is just blame the other guy across the aisle and you don't have to take any responsibility for what's actually going on. Hell, you don't even really need a plan. And even if you do have a plan, you can just kind of take it wholesale from the one that they're currently using and try to pass it off as your own, because God knows he can't really handle a outbreak of this magnitude because, hey, just look, not that long ago, swine flu and bird flu, all of those kind of wonderful things that the Biden and Obama administration couldn't really put a cap on. And considering how easily transmittable the coronavirus, the China plague, is in comparison to swine flu, yeah, it's not even close, and barely anybody's dying anymore. Hey, those are just the facts, You can't really stay hunkered down until the fucking end days like Joe Biden would like to have you do. 3 months is what he said in an interview not that long ago, and he just loves to skirt those facts. But I won't bore you with much of that COVID shit because there was so many of these topics that kept going over and over again. Like, taxes eventually came up. Like, who the fuck gives a shit at this point about, oh, Mr. Trump, you haven't released your taxes. Do we know who's a foreign entity that is going to be, leveraging you for influence? Meanwhile, the other guy in the blue tie has significant influence being pressed upon him by China and the Ukraine and many other things that are probably going to come out in the next 9 days. But, of course, you got to just keep treading this old water because it makes Trump look bad, and Biden can just immediately push forward with the orange man bad narrative, and that gets a lot of applause from his trained seals in the mainstream media and in, social media as well, because the response after the debate, especially in the trending tab, real organic trending over there, it was a bunch of these liberal fucking whack jobs being like, oh, Biden completely whacks the floor with them. And we'll go through it, but it's pretty easy to see Joe Biden really didn't mop the floor with them. It was, the exact opposite. Most what you find with liberals nowadays, people on the left, I don't mean to smear actual liberals, but hey, sorry, your term got co-opted, and that's what you people like to do. But I also want to give a shout out to Kristen Welker, because she really put on a nice veneer of being an objective moderator. You know what? The one I actually have a point of contention with is whoever wrote the questions. If it was her, she must have been writing them in a different frame of mind, because there were a lot of times where, she was fair. She held everybody to their specific time cues, and hey, good on her for that. That's a part of being a moderator. Chris Wallace was having a meltdown at the same time because, he could not do the exact same thing, which led to these rule changes. But she was very good about keeping people in the time frames. She was also very good about allocating time to rebuttals, but something that was very subversive, something that wasn't as outlandish as losing control like Chris Wallace did. Her question style, and we'll see here a little bit, but it was always very pointed and very specific. In the COVID section, the 20-minute rehash of everything that you've ever heard for the past 10 months at this point. She had specific follow-ups when it comes to vaccines, and Trump has been touting that within the next few weeks we're going to be hearing word on the vaccine. She wanted to know who's producing them, what's the official time frame, can you guarantee that time frame, and how are we going to get them out there to the public? 3 to 4 specific questions that she asked directly relating to coronavirus response, and they were all pointed directly at him. How are you going to do this? And then run down that list of questions that she had to follow up with. And then on the other side for Biden, she would never ask pointed questions. It would always just be little softball. You've treated black people very bad with your 94 crime bill. Why should they vote for you now? Instead of holding his feet to the fire for the 94 crime bill, which I don't know this week if he's for it or against it, because there's so many other flip-floppy positions. But now that we have the window dressing out of the way, we can hop straight into some clips here to do on-the-fly fact-checking and kind of laughing at a couple of septuagenarians. So the first topic that we're going to take a look at is election integrity, which apparently is linked into national security because Kristen Welker was just kind of playing fast and loose with the actual topics. So we'll let Joe go ahead and tee this up for him.
I made it clear that any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American elections will pay a price. They will pay a price. And it's been overwhelmingly clear this election, I won't even get into the last one, this election, that Russia has been involved, China has been involved to some degree, and now we learn that Iran is involved.
So as you can see, it's very clear that Russia and China a little bit and Iran are directly influencing the outcome of this election. It is clear, 100%. What are they doing? Well, here we go. The FBI says Iran and Russia have U.S. voter information. Okay, that could be serious. That could be serious, right? But what are they actually doing? The intelligence chiefs said Iran's spoof emails claim to be sent by far-right Proud Boys group in order to intimidate voters, incite unrest, and damage. Really? Is that what we're afraid of? We're afraid of the Proud Boys who are apparently now all of a sudden trying to burn down houses of Trump supporters? That's what they're masquerading as? That doesn't even fucking make sense. And of course, they've denounced, both Russia and Iran have denounced knowing any of this or meddling in the So because somebody denounces something, that means that it's 100% true if you live in Democrat land, right? At least that's what we're led to believe, right? Right? Come on, man. And then it didn't even take that long for stupid old Joe to stick his fucking old club foot straight into his mouth, because guess who he brought up? Well, I'll let Joe say it for you.
His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true.
Quite possibly the dumbest thing he could have done in this entire debate is bring up the name of Rudy Giuliani. He has all the fucking proof. Now the FBI has all the proof because those hard drives probably had something to do with kids on it. I don't want to touch it because I don't want to get my channel destroyed. Fair enough, right? At least I hope. I understand he's old. I understand that he's demented. But under what situation? Because he had 5 days to prepare for this debate. All of this shit with all of the emails, all of Hunter's crap and all of Joe Biden's crap at the same time being linked to China, being linked to Ukraine. That all came out. And he was so pre-rehearsed. Everything was a talking point. Everything had to be coming around to some sort of a catchphrase for him. And whose fucking idea was it to bring up the name Rudy Giuliani? Because you know then for the rest of the time, for the extra hour after he brought that up, those emails are now officially on the table because you fucking brought him up, Joe. You brought him up. And Trump had a brilliant kind of off-the-radar point to bring up. And it involves Ukraine, but it doesn't involve emails quite yet.
I'll tell you, they were so bad. They took over the submarine port. You remember that very well. During your term, during you and Barack Obama, they took over a big part of what should have been Ukraine. You handed it to them.
Now, what is that, you think? You probably don't remember. It's been a little while, and a lot of shit's gone on, so your boy Don's got the receipts, of course. Obama rules out military force over Ukraine. President Obama said on Wednesday, this is back March 20th, 2014, that he has ruled out the use of United States military force in the Ukraine crisis, and an international response to Russia's seizure of Crimea will be limited to diplomacy. Yeah. Russia was annexing a lot of land at this time, and yeah, Crimea was one of those instances, and instead of doing something and doing anything to help your international friends, your allies that Joe Biden is just such a big proponent for, you just, let Putin walk in there and, yep, I'll be taking that now, thank you. But of course, Trump wasn't done with that response. I said that we'd eventually be getting into the emails, but let Trump go ahead with this one. How about that?
All of the emails, the horrible emails of the kind of money that you were raking in, you and your family. And Joe, you were vice president when some of this was happening, and it should have never happened. And I think you owe an explanation to the American people. Why is it? Somebody just had a news conference a little while ago who was essentially supposed to work with you and your family, but what he said was damning. And regardless of me, I think you have to clean it up and talk to the American people. Maybe you can do it right now. I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Joe, and your son gave you. They even have a statement that we have to give 10% to the big man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know. Maybe you're not, but you're the big man, I think. Joe, what's that all about? It's terrible.
All right, gentlemen, I want to ask you both some questions about all of this, but I'm going to let you both respond very quickly. You just said you spoke to your accountant about potentially releasing your taxes. Did he tell you when you can release them? Do you have a deadline for when you're going to release them?
You know, Kristen Welker, that's why I brought it up in the beginning there. Did you see what kind of a follow-up as soon as those emails were getting brought up a little bit and Joe would have to answer for those? She immediately changed the topic. Okay, we're going to go back to talking about the tax situation because we can make you look really bad immediately. That's why, because she got so much love after this fucking debate. It was sickening to see. If you listened to the questions, she was very anti-Trump. Not so outspoken about it, therefore nobody would be able to say, oh, that was a shit show. No, it was just these little tweaks out there. It's stuff that Trump is really used to. That's why he was able to perform so well in this debate. But it was still coddling Joe and going after Trump with a stick. I'll save you all the bore fest that was recapping his tax situation, explaining everything that was actually laid out in that New York Times article, which, you know what, for all of these big tech groups that are running around saying that we don't need to report on stories that are unverified. Case in point, there was no verification on that New York Times tax story. So why was that being run around? Why has that been brought up in every single town hall, every single debate so far? I don't know. Nothing biased about the media here. Continue on with your day, folks. No, but Trump, being the good man that he is, he wouldn't let the tax situation redirect from the point that, you know what, Joe's going to have to answer for these emails. This is the last time before the election. These two men are going to be together in the exact same room. So guess what? If nobody's going to press Joe in the media, I'll take it upon myself to do that. And here's something that is going to come back and bite Joe in his withered, leathery old ass.
I have not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever, ever.
There is no way in hell that clip there is not going to come back and bite Joe in his old ass. There is no single way. I've never taken a single penny from any country ever. Ooh, damn, that is... If we want to point to one situation, one little clip that comes out of this debate that is going to be played ad nauseum here in the next couple of months, we can point directly to that. Here was the one time that Kristen Welker actually had a moment where it looked like she was going to press Joe Biden to answer for the emails to, you know, kind of dispel the mysticism that's currently around them because we can't verify them, therefore they're not real. Even though we know for a fact that John Radcliffe has come out and emphatically said that there's no links to Russia disinformation campaign with these don't in fact bear the hallmarks of a disinformation campaign. No, they're real. So guess what? Answer for them. And here's what Kristen has to ask.
There have been questions about the work your son has done in China and for a Ukrainian energy company when you were vice president. In retrospect, was anything about those relationships inappropriate or unethical?
Okay, well, was anything unethical, Joe? Let's see.
Nothing was unethical. Here's what the deal. With regard to Ukraine, we had this whole question about whether or not, because he was on the board, I later learned, of a Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China.
Good look there, you old fossil. We know that is not true. But what else can we expect? And, yeah, there was no follow-up there. So Trump had to take it on himself.
His son didn't have a job for a long time, was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world. I hear they paid him $183,000 a month. Listen to this. $183,000, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the vice president respond to that quickly, and then I need
dishonest.
to get to a question to you.
And there again is another perfect example. Kristen Welker is just going to help out Joe Biden by, here, I'll let you respond, but every single time that a erroneous point is made by Joe throughout the entire debate, oh, okay, and next topic. Answer for your crimes, Joe. One day you will have to answer for your crimes. And this right here was the kill shot. We're running through these in sequential order now outside of the first opening clip here, and this is where Joe Biden absolutely, his energy started to get zapped. As we'll see a little bit later, he started to get a lot more ornery, and Trump just shuts him down right after this. But we'll throw to the first clip here to let Joe set it up for himself, because the setup on himself is the perfect way to describe this.
This isn't about, there's a reason why he's bringing up all this malarkey. There's a reason for it. He doesn't want to talk about the substantive issues. It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family. And your family's hurting badly.
So remember that from the first debate where he was pointing directly at the camera, talking to the American people. Some idiots think that that seems, kind of old school compassion. Somehow some withered old husk of a man with Mako shark eyes can look directly into your soul and it not be creepy. Instead, it's warming and reassuring. No, here's where Trump absolutely nukes that old school politician. And this must have been some little undercurrent Trump was going forward during the entire debate here. Listen, I am not a politician. That guy's been around for the better part of a half century.
I want to talk about North Korea. I do want to turn to 10 seconds, Mr. President.
That's
10 seconds.
That's a typical political statement. Let's get off this China thing, and then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk about North Korea.
I'm not a typical politician.
Okay,
that's why I got elected. Let's get off the subject of China. Let's talk sitting around the table.
All right.
Come on, Joe, you can do better.
Yeah, kind of absolutely ruined Joe's day with that one right there. And we'll immediately see right now, because now we're going to start talking about North Korea and the fact that, probably having a good relationship with a nuclear power is probably a good thing. And the fact that we're finally normalizing relations between North Korea for the betterment of South Korea's, probably a great idea. And here's what Trump has to say about it.
In the meantime, I have a very good relationship with him. Different kind of a guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me.
Hey, he probably thinks the same of me. It's kind of just little funny things like that, little relatable things. It's not going to matter. These fucking debates don't mean shit. Everybody has their minds set up. So then we throw to Joe Biden, the party pooper here, and we'll let him say what the fuck he wants.
What has he done? He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy who's a thug.
That's the best thing you should do, right? Call somebody a thug. Just drop the hard R, Joe. You know you want to. But yeah, the first president in modern times to not start any military conflict during his first term and throughout his entire presidency. A man who has in fact signed 4 historic peace deals in the Middle East. He's being referenced as being some sort of a warmonger. Like, what the fuck are you actually trying to accomplish here, Joe? We'll let Trump rebut his ridiculous claims here in a second.
We're not in a war. We have a good relationship. People don't understand. Having a good relationship
Trump,
with leaders of other countries is a good thing.
We have a lot of questions to get to.
That's like saying we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact, invaded. Europe, the rest of Europe. Come on.
A Hitler reference in 2020 on a presidential debate. Holy shit, Joe. Where the fuck did that come from? He's probably just thinking of classmates that he's had. And that was the first one to come to mind. And by the way, that wasn't true. In fact, the U.S. just wanted to stay impartial in the entire situation until Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and I think anybody who's been through high school history is probably well aware of that. But to be fair on Joe, it's been about, 75 years since he's been in high school anyways, and he was probably ducking class anyways, because we all know that he was not exactly the best student in, law school, and you can kind of extrapolate that out to be high school as well. I don't know. You can fact check me on that, but it's kind of hard to scan a report card into a computer when it's on tablets made of marble. And now we're going to throw to the most confusing question that you could possibly get. Now, I left a little rejoinder in here because she said that we're going to move on to families and the economy, and then goes into Amy Coney Barrett being appointed probably on Monday to the Supreme Court, and at the center of all liberal concerns is the only reason why she's there. I'll let Kristen tee this up for everybody. I'm just as confused as you are.
Let's move on to American families and the economy. One of the issues that's most important to them is health care, as you both know. Today, there was a key vote on a new Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and health care is at the center of her confirmation fight.
Health care. Healthcare is the only reason ACB's there, right? Amy Coney Barrett, that noted healthcare advocate and somebody who's immediately going to start stripping away your precious abortion rights. No. And if you're going to bring up the Supreme Court, shouldn't you be talking about the fact that Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, any fucking high-ranking Democrat that'll probably be in Joe Biden's cabinet if he's elected? Why didn't you bring up court packing? She didn't bring it up. I don't have any other kind of clips to bring to add to the video here. We still don't know. We aren't going to know. We're never going to know. And the fact that they haven't cleared that up is a very clear indication that they will pack the courts. Okay? And that creates a slippery slope situation. If you add 2 more Supreme Court justices, okay, that makes it 11. And then in 24, when somebody new comes along, they get to add 2 more, and eventually we won't stop until there's hundreds or thousands of Supreme Court justices. You think it's crazy now? Just look at every other little concession that's come along and think of where we started and where we're at right now. But no, it's about my health care. Oh my God, my individual mandate's gone, which is great. I don't want to trivialize that. Or, oh no, my single payer. Yeah, live in Canada, by the way. I mention it from time to time. But I'll tell you, socialized medicine sucks a dick. Wait times are terrible. Your drug costs are, unless you have private insurance on top of that, still sucks. And yeah, I can't emphasize enough, wait times are fucking atrocious. Unless you get shot in the head, then you immediately get rushed in. But if you need any sort of elective surgery, if you need an MRI or an X-ray, it takes, well, especially for an MRI or a CAT scan, it takes months, and not 1 or 2 months, 6 to 8 months. I live in a city that is, 70,000 people, service area of 100,000, and for whatever stupid reason, there's only one major hospital here. There's one that's supposed to be open, but they've been building on that since, a decade now. And yeah, wait times are atrocious around here. And you think that they'd be any better in a country of 360 million people? Think again. So Kristen Welker asks for clarification on Joe Biden's healthcare plan, and he wants to add a public option, and that's what he claims in this clip here.
He's accusing you of wanting socialized medicine. What do you say to people who have concerns that your health care plan, which includes a government insurance option, takes the country one step closer to a health care system run entirely by the government? What's your response to that? I say
it's ridiculous. It's like saying that, we're the idea that the fact that there's a public option that people can choose.
Hey, Joe, adding a public option is exactly the first step towards fully socialized medicine. I don't know whoever wrote up the plan for you, they clearly understand this and you clearly don't. So I will clear it up for you. It is one of those things where you get a service that's completely out of the market. They don't have to worry about being competitive out there, charging a competitive price. They can set the bar so goddamn low that, okay, regardless, everybody will go get that. It's like comparing fine dining to fast food. Fast food has the lowest prices. It's serviceable if you need it. If you only have a couple of dollars, yeah, you can get it and you can survive on fast food. That's what the president does, after all. Meanwhile, every other restaurant in your city is anywhere between 3 and 5 stars, and eventually the prices will be driven so far down because everybody has the option on the other side of town. Hey, the only place we can get our food is over here at the fast food joint. What's the point of going and sitting down at the restaurant? The prices are much higher, even though it is superior coverage. I need to eat on a single day basis. I need to eat multiple times a day. So, hey, I got to go over there and eat it. And guess what? Just because that's so low and the prices up here are so high, eventually, once those restaurants get driven out of the market, there's only one option left. And that's what happens when you have a public option. It could suck a fat dick, but if it is cheap, eventually those prices will win because they will be subsidized by the government and there's nothing anybody can do about it. So a little bit of a goofy analogy, I understand, but you get where I'm coming from. Eventually that option that is outside the market will prevail. Eventually it will get big enough and a big enough market share where everything else gets driven out. Don't advocate for a public option. It's fucking garbage. So now we'll throw to President Trump and his rejoinder to what I just explained there. That's what Joe Biden rambled through ever so incoherently.
Not a thing.
Interesting, when
Very
he
quickly,
says,
then I want to talk
when
about
he
what's
says
happening
public
on Capitol
option,
Hill.
he's talking about socialized medicine and healthcare. When he talks about a public option, he's talking about destroying your Medicare, totally destroying your Social Security, and this whole country will come down. You know, Bernie Sanders tried it in his state.
And then we'll get the president's take on it. He's 100% correct on that, no? Yeah, exactly. And Bernie Sanders, of course, that's something that Joe Biden likes to kind of shy away from, but we'll get Joe's quick little quip.
Thinks he's running against somebody else. He's running against Joe Biden. I beat all those other people because I disagreed with them.
Hey guys, remember, I beat all of those people. I beat them all. Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force recommendations. There's an entire manifesto. We call it the manifesto. Some people don't, but we do. It is all about those fringe, you can't even say fringe anymore on the Democratic side. It's all of those far leftists, all of their policies that have to come over because Biden, in fact, if you guys remember during the primaries, Bernie Sanders got a significant amount of delegates in the primaries. He, in fact, won California. Normally, it's kind of the hallmark of who's going to ultimately win the nomination on the Democratic side. And Joe Biden won New York. Bernie Sanders won California. And we never really finished anything up. So Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden had to merge on a platform. And I don't know why this isn't brought up more. It should be brought up every single debate. If we're going to bring up Donald Trump's taxes every single time, unfortunately, we aren't going to get another opportunity to, but Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force. That's there. It's on JoeBiden.com's website. So how can you fucking run away from that, Joe? But you don't care about facts. We'll choose facts over the thing, you know? And now from here, we've got to move into stimulus. We've got to move into the economy. And Kristen Walker's got a doozy of a question here.
Those hit hardest are women and people of color. They see Washington fighting over a relief bill. Mr. President, why haven't you been able to get them the help they need?
I can't believe she actually did it. She pulled the women most affected fucking meme. This campaign is fucking terrific. Every chance you get, they just seem to abide by the policy of not letting your memes be dreams. In fact, making them become real life. Women and blacks most affected. But you know what? Here we go. In fact, Trump does have a stimulus package out there. In fact, the Democrats want $2.2 trillion for another round of stimulus. And the Republicans have put forth a $1.8 trillion stimulus plan that would absolutely get through Congress. It doesn't have any of the other social justice platforms on there, so I don't know what they're talking about. They don't care about facts, though. Of course not. Of course not. Next, we'll move along to minimum wage. We're talking about minimum wage all of a sudden because $15 an hour to flip burgers seems to be the right course of action. And I love President Trump's take on this one.
We are going to move on to immigration,
one thing very
but I
quickly.
want
He
to
said
get
we
your
have
reaction.
to help our small businesses by raising the minimum wage. That's not helping. I think it should be a state option. Alabama is different than New York. New York is different from Vermont. Every state is different.
Yeah, there's this thing called the 10th Amendment, guys. I don't know if the Democrats or the media's heard of it, but there's this thing called states' rights, and it absolutely should be a states' right thing. You can't just mandate shit across the entire country when situations in different states are different. You know, cost of living is different in LA than it is in Cheyenne, Wyoming. It is different in New York City, especially right now. Even just upstate in New York, it needs to be different, okay? Now, we haven't quite heard from old Brain Dead Joe here in a second, and he says, I know I've said this often, but he has quite possibly the hottest take of all time right here.
2 jobs, 1 job, be below poverty. People are making $6, $7, $8 an hour. These first responders, we all clap for as they come down the street because they've allowed us to make it. What's happening? They deserve a minimum wage of $15.
Hey, Joe, this is just a regular middle-of-the-country place. Missouri firefighters' base salary is $36,578. That's take-home. That's after taxes. And I just ran the numbers, and you can too. I totally invite you to. I figured out what their weekly salary is, and then I broke it down to a 40-hour work week, and they take home after taxes $17.59 per. Missouri, not exactly the highest cost of living. Missouri, not exactly the most populous state. That is just a buttfuck average salary. That's one of your first responders out there, right? And guess what? You also can't put a price tag on relocation assistance, food provided, professional development assistance, disability insurance, parental leave. They are very well taken care of. $17.60 per hour. I would love to see firefighters get more than that, but that is the average salary. That is what the average firefighter makes. Now, there's a lot of upward mobility in the firefighter profession. Same with the police department. Same with the EMTs. Teachers are very, very, very overrated, in my opinion. If you're a teacher out there and you do a great job, terrific. If you just sit back and you just read from your curriculum and hand out pop quizzes every once in a while, you should find better work for yourself because you're doing nobody any help. But no, Joe. First responders don't make under $15 an hour, you fucking idiot. But this is the sort of shit that you see from the left from time to time. You see the legislating out of thin air, thinking that, well, just take the big scary black rifle thing all of a sudden. There's no background checks. There's significant background checks. You can't own a fully automatic. Fully automatics have been outlawed for a very, very long time. Semi-automatic rifles kill everybody. Most of the mass shootings are done with handguns, so you don't know your stats. You're just legislating from a point of high emotion. That's all. Just know your facts, okay? If you're going to start spurging out, at least have some semi-stable ground to make your claims from. Okay. Now we got to the portion of the debate where Joe Biden really doesn't have a leg to stand on. We got into immigration. The fact that the Obama and Biden administration deported the most people, not of one single administration, of every other administration combined. That's not a bad thing. That's in fact a good thing. If you're getting rid of shitty individuals and shipping them back to their country because they're in your country illegally, mazel tov. Great idea. Why not? But Joe lost his mind here. And we'll let Trump answer the question about separating kids, trying to make this into this big fucking sob story that there are 500 plus kids who were ripped from their arms of their parents coming across the border. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. You cannot prove that they are all coming over with their parents. That's what Trump outlines here.
Children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels, and they're brought here, and they used to use them to get into our country.
They cannot, it's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from their parents. And it makes us a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
A 2019 study by the Rand Corporation found coyotes can charge between $6,000 and $10,000 per person to smuggle into the United States, often via dangerous crossings in the desert. Some coyotes have been known to assault migrants or ransom them to their relatives. Yeah, this happens a lot, and this is something that Trump has done very well during his first term, and nobody wants to give him credit for that either. He has put a significant dent into human trafficking, and everybody who can run two brain cells together. You didn't see this much after the debate on Twitter. He thinks that actual coyotes are running across the border with kids. No, you fucking assholes. These are obviously human smugglers, human traffickers that sell these kids that they steal or take from their parents on the Mexican side of the border under dubious circumstances and sell them into sex slavery. Yeah, it's fucking dirty, and I'm so glad that Trump is taking care of this. And you know what? There are also countless examples of people coming across the border. Their parents go in first, find a place to live, let the kids live with uncles or grandparents before they have a chance to come across the border, then use coyotes to bring them over and reunite them with their parents. That does happen too. And also, it's not that same dramatic thing, because we all know that the left likes to use movies as some sort of a straw man argument where, oh, they're making this big courageous run across the Rio Grande, and it's just going to be, you know, the little babies just dangling off the end. It looks exactly like every other fucking Western that you've ever seen in your life. No, it's never that fucking super high energetic situation. It's much more sophisticated and much more dirty than that. Now we're going to let Joe talk tough here for a second, trying to be, you know, the white knight to ride in and reunite everybody. How the fuck are you going to prove that, Joe? Any ideas? Any ideas how you're actually going to prove the fact that every single instance of kids being separated, our family members being ripped out of their arms, we become the laughing stock? What a fucking moralizing, grandstanding old asshole. So you're a liar about China, you're a liar about Ukraine, you're a liar about your family, and now you're a liar about what the fuck happens down at the border. But you know what? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you just don't know what happens down there because, hey, you probably also don't remember a lot. You probably don't remember what you talked about to begin the entire debate. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt there, pal. And what's another big talking point about what happens down there at the border? I seem to think that there is a thing about cages, you know. Trump is ripping kids away from their family members, if we're going to stick to the mainstream media's narrative here. Trump is ripping them out of their parents' arms, and crying, screaming children are being thrown in cages that Trump built, and he's making these families get separated from one another. Oops.
Let me just tell you, they built cages. You know, they used to say, I built the cages. And then they had a picture in a certain newspaper, and it was a picture of these horrible cages. And they said, look at these cages. President Trump built them. And then it was determined they were built in 2014. That was him.
Now let's throw to the AP and Big Mike. Starting middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears, number 44, Michelle Obama. From her Democratic National Convention speech that we all remember and love oh so much, where she seemed like the most kindest and sympathetic human being on earth. But of course, Michelle Obama and Americans, they watch in horror as children are torn from their families and thrown into cages. And here are the facts from the AP, and you just knew that they wanted to not have to write this whatsoever. The reference to cages is misleading, and a matter that Democrats have persistently distorted. Trump used facilities that were built during the Obama-Biden administration to house children at the border. They are chain-link enclosures inside border facilities where migrants were temporarily housed, separated by sex and age. Oopsie daisy, it looks like everybody gets that wrong from that very corrupt old administration. Duh. And to end the immigration talking point, we had to bring up catch and release, and why anybody would actually want to stand by that policy is way beyond me because, well, Trump laid it out, but for the sake of brevity, I will explain what it is for you. Catch and release is a system where you find that somebody trying to cross the border is a rapist, a murderer, somebody who has committed felonies in the other country, and you'd have to release them. Not back to the country that they came from. You'd have to release them in the United States and give them a time to show up, and yeah, that's how well it works about as well as you think it would, really. And here's our boy T-Rump to set the record straight, of course.
President Trump, your response,
so
30
important.
seconds, and then we'll move on.
It just shows that he has no understanding of immigration or the laws. Catch and release is a disaster. A murderer would come in, a rapist would come in, a very bad person would come in. We would take their name. We have to release them into our country. Less than 1% of the people come back. We have to send ICE out and Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason.
Well, yeah, exactly. 1% of people show up. Okay, listen, if they don't have any of your information, if they don't know where the fuck that you live in the country to begin with, or where the fuck you are, how are they going to be able to come there and drag you to court? No, it's just the honor system for MS-13 gang members. Yeah, exactly. It works about as well as you thought it did, but Trump got rid of that, so. But of course, Biden wanting to moralize would just say, oh, this terrible programs, you're putting these kids in cages. Still, totally disregarding the fact that he built the cages and that Obama and Biden set up catch and release. He wants to claim that, once I'm president, everything is just magically going to get better. Just totally disregard anything else that I've done in my past. Oh, please, pretty please, thank you. Trump won't let him do that now, will he? I know I've said this before, but this is quite possibly the most cringy part of the evening for Mr. Biden. And we'll start off with Donald Trump saying how great of a president he has been to the black community.
Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible exception, but the exception of Abraham Lincoln, because I am the least racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark, but I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
That part always makes me cringe. I don't care how many times I have to hear it, but it didn't make me cringe half as much as how Joe Biden wanted to come back towards it, and we'll eventually get to that, but first, President Trump has got to stick his foot in his mouth, and, well, we will get to that shortly, but President Trump goes ahead and lets everybody knows that Black Lives Matter is not the warm and fuzzy organization that they claim to be. In fact, they are a murderous organization, something that they've been very vocal about since they were formed in 2013. And here's the first instance of what President Trump heard of Black Lives Matter.
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting, pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street.
This part here really needs no introduction. I don't even think I can properly describe what the fuck this is going to be.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history. He pours fuel on every single racist fire. He says about the poor boys, last time we were on stage here, he said, I told them to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy is a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
You get what I mean by he was totally pre-rehearsed? He was expecting that Abraham Lincoln comparison, but I think something short-circuited in his old brain, and all of a sudden he thought that he was debating Honest Abe. I would love to see the boardroom where those Lincoln Project assholes were sitting around and all of a sudden that reference gets dropped. That was about the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen. I thought nothing could top the Hitler moment. but all of a sudden thinking that you're debating Abraham Lincoln? What the fuck is going on here, folks? What is going on? So yeah, Trump now will set him right and kind of ask for clarification.
He made a reference to Abraham Lincoln. Where did that come in? I mean,
you said you're Abraham Lincoln.
No, where did that? No.
You said,
I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black community.
And I'm saying,
I didn't say I'm Abraham Lincoln. I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black community. Now, you have done nothing other than the crime bill, which put...
Oh, God.
Okay, we got to leave that steaming pile of Biden over there in the corner and move on to Trump once again, just badgering Biden. Why didn't you get anything done during 8 years? All you're doing is just saying, oh, okay, oh, I was in the Senate, couldn't get anything done. Well, you could talk to the other side. How about that? No, okay, during the 8 years that I was there as vice president, we couldn't get anything done. Oh, why not? Because I wasn't president. Oh, okay, now if you're going to become president, you're amazingly just going to switch course, and all of a sudden you're just going to become this great policy maker, and all the wrongs of the Republicans are going to be righted, and the entire republic is going to thrive under the tutelage and wisdom of Joe Biden. Yeah, not likely. Here's Trump dropping the hammer.
Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years with Obama. You know why, Joe? Because you're all talk and no action.
All right, Vice President Biden, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
We had a Republican Congress. That's the answer.
Well, you got to talk them into it, Joe.
Hey, Joe, over here. Senate majority, Democrat. House majority, Democrat. Not very Republican looking, hey? Oh, once again, Joe, over here. The 111th Congress. Yeah, it was also Democrat. You actually didn't have a split house until 2011. So, yeah. That awkward pause. That gut punch that everybody felt when he was, I don't know, maybe thinking that he was going to be getting an applause break from a crowd that was supposed to be quiet and up until that point hadn't made a peep. Looks like a real fucking tangible lie. Well done, pal. Well done. Then we head into the final topic. The last one that actually is going to get any attention on this video and should be the biggest talking point coming out of the debate, full stop. Joe Biden made the dumbest statement he has ever made publicly. Okay, he's constantly refuted different accusations that he would stop fracking. Yes, he has said multiple times that he would indeed stop fracking, and he tried to add this little disclaimer in the debate that, no, I only meant that on federal land. He's never said that prior to tonight during the debate. He'd never made that accusation prior to this. And yeah, full stop. Well, I'll just let Joe Biden torpedo his, floundering campaign. I don't buy the polls for a second, people. I'll listen for Kristen Welker chime in. I had to leave it in there because it's fucking hilarious.
Okay, I have one final question.
Would he close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close down the oil industry?
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a
because
big statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. He won't give federal subsidies to the gas. To solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do give it to solar and wind. And that's maybe the biggest statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Because basically what he's saying is he is going to destroy the oil industry. Okay. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President.
These states will remember. And did you guys hear that little thing in there? Why would you do that? Because even Kristen Welker, sitting there in her impartial seat, realizes, Pennsylvania, Texas, Oklahoma thrive on the oil and gas industry. And those idiots out there, I will do a future video on fracking because fracking is not this terrible evil thing that it's being portrayed as, and natural gas is very clean burning in comparison to coal and far more efficient and effective than solar and wind. It is a good, relatively clean burning fuel. And that right there is the moment that Pennsylvania turned red, that Texas stayed red, that Oklahoma got blood red. Okay, that right there is the single dumbest thing he could have done. I'm going to get rid of the oil and gas industry. What? No, that's not going to fly. You just killed your campaign right there, Joe. Regardless of what comes out through the rest of the week, that single moment right there, him saying he's going to transition away from the oil and gas industry, absolutely ended it for him. But this video has gone on a Methuselaic length, and if you guys made it this far, I greatly thank you, because it's a beast to make, and I do enjoy doing it though. So hey, I appreciate you all taking the time to watch this video, and I thank you very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you guys to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.